Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ango Show. We are live. It is April 10th, 2025, and we are here. Things are a little bit different for both of us today. Billy doesn't have his usual setup, and he is literally fighting to make it work, which is amazing. Shout out to Billy. I got a new microphone, and maybe I have finally settled on a microphone. I might have to tweak some settings here and there. I don't know how I sound. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Billy, can you talk? And I just want to make sure the crowd can hear you as well.
Yes, can everybody hear me? Because I am literally rocking off of a phone microphone right now.
Crazy.
Insane.
But that's sometimes you just got to do things when you're on the go and portable. And
Yep, you just got to push through here.
yes, sir. I hear
All right.
it. I hear it, and I hear you well.
Good.
Last night was AEW Dynamite.
Yes, sir.
Billy.
It was a show, brother. It was a show.
It keeps getting worse.
Worse and worse and worse and worse. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, definitely going to talk about that, guys. And as always, if you guys want to support the show, you guys already know the drill by now. We ask that you like the stream. We ask that you guys chat with us because it's completely free to chat. And then, of course, if you guys want, we do have our super chat goal active. You can help drive the conversation a little bit further too, just by simply dropping a super chat. It guarantees that your questions will be read or your comments. Maybe you want to chime in, become part of the show. Yeah, definitely a weak episode in my opinion, Billy. Overall reaction, very weak in my opinion.
For sure. I mean, I did a watch along yesterday. I really tried to push through it. It was difficult. Nothing made sense. Nothing aligned. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's the truth is AEW just keeps getting worse. And I think last night it was very apparent with the Swerve explanation, Kenny Omega's promo, the stuff with the Young Bucks, and of course the Death Riders. And I think it is so strange to see that AEW has been doubling down on this storyline. But one quick little fact that a lot of people didn't know, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select had actually come out and reported that before Jon Moxley got the belt, he was planned for a long-term title reign. And so that actually makes things even more complicated now because it is very clear that the Death Rider storyline continues to be something that a lot of people just simply aren't interested in. And then after last night's episode, I am coming out with this overall belief that there is just too much confusion. They've lost the plot. They've lost the vision. They don't know what they're doing. And it's very unfortunate because you can tell when you watch the show, there's too many things happening and none of them are connecting to each other. And that seems to be controversial and it makes me this AEW hater to point it out. But I am very much struggling to understand what I am watching. And that's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they lost the plot. I talked about it a little bit earlier. The plot is completely gone. They have the Young Bucks coming out there saying that they did it for Hangman. Then they're trying to align themselves with the Death Riders after everything that had happened before and the whole reason they were off of TV. They were running away from the Young Bucks. I don't know. It's just a really, really confusing time. And then, they try to sell you at the end with Samoa Joe and Samoa Joe and the Ops. Right? They try to challenge them for the trios championships, and it's like it's not working the way that you want it to. I get it. You're trying something, and yesterday they really were. They were supposed to come with something amazing yesterday, and they truthfully didn't. They came with complete dog shit. It looked like a dog shit idea from the get up. They had no clue what was going on. Call me AEW hater, call me what you want. At this point, I'm just very, very fed up with this company.
Yeah, no, it was the thing is it was just a terrible way to follow up with a pay-per-view, and the card itself last night. I will say like one of the fun things. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but the 8-man tag for the $400,000, it was a fun match to watch, but I just think a lot of these ideas that AEW is introducing, it's really not that great.
You mean the $400,000 that's just as invisible as the AEW World Championship?
Yeah. It sucks, man. It's a very, very sad time for AEW. It's crazy. And then this is the freaking thing that mind boggles me, bro. For the last month, I've been giving them praises. Like, wow,
Yes.
things are really good. There's stories everywhere. But I struggle right now. I really, really struggle right now watching this program. And that's why I feel like, even when I see Megan Bain backstage with Penelope Ford, and I'm just thinking, like, dude, you had a very, very good opportunity. You should have just put the belt on Megan Bain. And everything that Tony Khan is doing, it's very clear. He has one way of thinking. He thinks long term, and it's long term thinking, but his long term storytelling is the issue, And just
Yeah.
overall, it was a dumpster fire of an episode for me.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about it before, and I told you that I was actually okay with Megan Bain losing in that match. But one of the things that I said following that was if you let her lose, you need to make her look as strong as possible. And all they did was let her cut a little promo on Dynamite and then promoted her for Collision. While that's fine, I just think that Dynamite is your A show. Shouldn't we be having somebody who is fighting for your world championship on the A show, wrestling on the A show, rather than a show that's barely getting viewed? And I don't care what anybody says, Collision, as good as it is and as good as it may be for some people, regardless of the fact it's not getting viewed. Nobody's watching it. Nobody cares. It's a Saturday night. I don't care.
Yeah.
So it's just it's really funny that they chose to go the route that they did last night with Megan Bain, considering everything that happened. And same applies to Adam Cole, because they essentially had Adam Cole do the same exact thing. He just kind of popped up on the TV just to tell you, like, oh yeah, hey, look at me. I won the TNT championship, and then he's got his buddies with him, and it's like, dude, like, as much as I want to care, I don't.
Yeah. Well,
It sucks.
I think that leads to a very good conversation of, I think, you look at Adam Cole, for example, and you see him come out, and now they're no longer the Undisputed Kingdom. Now they're the Paragon. And like, I look at this move and it's like, what are we doing here, bro? It's not about the name of the group. It's not about the branding of the group. It's not about any of this bullshit. It's always like AEW needs to figure out how to book people and present them correctly. And believe it or not, Adam Cole could have a million different faction names. It's not going to change anything. Adam Cole is your TNT champion. He beat Daniel Garcia. Give us more. We just had the first pay-per-view. Build me up a story. And the thing about professional wrestling that's really bothering me more specifically in AEW, and this really kills me, it's you have a guy who's a new champion.
Mm-hmm.
Set up the program. Have a number one contenders match. Like, have somebody challenge him correctly and go after him and like build a thing up from the bottom and give it 3 to 4 weeks of consistent programming and just make it happen, make it work. And to me, I just don't understand, like, oh, okay, we're dropping the Undisputed Kingdom because that was a failure. Brother, the failure wasn't the fucking name. The failure came from how you presented the group and how you book the group. And really what it comes down to is, like, they don't do a good job of that. And it becomes this whole thing where everybody who speaks out about it is like a bad faith grifter. But there's not one person, and this is the truth. And this is the thing that might rub people the wrong way. But there is not one person who is watching AEW today who genuinely believes this is the best version of AEW. And I think until wrestling fans, especially on social media, across TikTok and across YouTube and Twitter and all these other apps, until people start to finally speak up and like truly let it be known, Tony Khan is going to keep giving us bullshit. Because if you look back, 2021, 2020, 2019, those 3 years for AEW were so significantly good. And then you really start to see the inconsistencies. And today we're watching Adam Cole. Oh, cool. We dropped the Undisputed Kingdom. Now we're the Paragon. Okay, whatever. Why do I not care? Because they didn't make me care about Adam Cole. Oh, the Young Bucks are back. I really don't care about the Young Bucks, to be honest, because the way that they've been presented up until this point. Swerve and Hangman's situation is really confusing. The Death Riders thing is confusing. Whoever is saying that this is the best version of AEW is simply lying. There is a lot of flaws on weekly television. And to make matters worse, and I've been saying this for such a long time, but the fact that they are struggling to really capitalize on a wrestler's momentum is pissing me off. Daniel Garcia, everybody wanted him to win the TNT Championship, and we saw the reaction he got at Dynasty. And now Megan Bayne loses to Toni Storm after getting all this momentum. And then the most that we get is a promo after, on Dynamite. It does not sit well with me at all.
Yeah, no, you think it would be something a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to talk about the Megan Bayne situation here. You think it would be something a little more prevalent, because you're having her come out and attack people on the build-up. Well, if she lost, why don't you continue having her attack people? Like, there's just so many holes in all of these stories. And, you talked about for a second the Hangman and Swerve situation. While that could be a good story, as it was prior to everything that happened at Dynasty, the problem is they just didn't capitalize fast enough. And AEW continuously has this problem of not capitalizing fast enough and not pulling the trigger. And Tony Khan just thinks that it's okay to trust his gut. And no, it's not, because I'm here to tell you that your gut is wrong. Whatever your quote unquote long-term storytelling is that you have going on is completely asinine and out of pocket, because you are literally trying to do something that literally makes zero sense, whether that be with the Megan Bayne situation, whether that be with the Swerve Hangman situation, whether it be with the Young Bucks situation. The only thing that I look at on that show and I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense, and they haven't even told you anything about it, is Okada and Kenny, and that's just from previous history.
Yeah, and I'm not even a fan of that.
And no, because they haven't done anything.
They have not done anything other than stare downs, really. I mean, to make me... Yeah, yes. I understand that the Elite beat up Kenny Omega getting diverticulitis, but how many times do I got to make the point on a live stream? How many fucking times do I got to make this point, Billy? Kenny was dying of diverticulitis, and he gets attacked, and he comes back, and the most that we get was that stare down.
Yep.
For that long,
pretty much
for that long period of time, that's what we got. And I get it. Tony Khan cares about the matchup, and for those who say like Tony Khan is really good at storytelling, then tell me, why isn't he giving us more? There is no reason, and we know this damn well. And this is really gonna piss off a lot of people. But if Triple H was booking Okada and Kenny Omega, we are getting the grandest presentation of a storyline and feud than we've ever gotten before. We're getting Roman and Cody levels, video packages, grand entrances. We're getting it all. And we're not getting that in AEW. Because to Tony Khan, it's just another great match that they can do. And Tony Khan really needs to just change his thinking on that. And there's so much that we're going to talk about, and we'll get into it. Tolino Channel dropped a couple super chats. So the first one that he said was $1.16. He says, Evolve was a good show. When the top independent male talent go to AEW. ID program shows promising indie talent. Callie Armstrong was a standout. I love WWE Evolve. I thought last night was another stellar episode. They have some really fun matches happening on Evolve. They're doing some good stuff. Evolve is obviously not on the level of AEW, but nor is it supposed to be. However, what I do want to point out when it comes to Evolve is that the reason why there's so much more intrigue for me to watch Evolve is because I'm watching people's progression. I'm watching people climb the ranks and trying to get to the very top. That was the same reason why I enjoyed watching Florida Championship Wrestling. With AEW, I tuned in and I'm like sitting here trying to put the pieces together myself. You're making me trying to figure out the story that you're trying to tell. You are not conveying a product to me. You're not presenting a product to me where like there's any sort of logic being applied where people just see the vision. And I can't see a vision if you're not showing the vision. And if you're the one with the vision and you can't show the vision, your vision is shit. And it really, it's starting to frustrate me a little bit because I do watch this show and it's like, yeah, I love these good matches and I love the moment, even as much as I'm not a fan of Ricochet. I love when Ricochet does he flies over the top ropes and everybody slaps him being bald. Cool, yeah. Man. Like, that's fun. I love some of the stuff that they do on this show, but like, you want me to get hooked emotionally to your stories, and all you're doing is like furthering me away from the characters. There's no reason why Okada should be holding the Continental Championship for over a year, and it's a very, very cold title reign, and he's a very cold character. There's no reason why Megan Bayne, and I thought you hit it really perfectly, like Megan Bayne beating everybody up, and then, okay, she comes back after losing and it's just a backstage segment. No, man, I just lost a fucking opportunity to be champion. I should probably be fucking crazy and just start attacking people backstage until I get exactly what I want, which is that rematch. You know what I mean? Like, get me hooked. Get me hooked on these people. You have too many great, talented people. Why can you not make this happen? And that is the thing with AEW. It's just a constant argument that I keep making. You are not getting me emotionally attached. And I'm sorry, but you lost me with the Death Riders thing. And that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost the plot completely on what the show is. We talked about it before, and we've talked about it numerous times. And again, as a person who's tried to defend it, they've just simply they've collapsed on this identity crisis. Like, it's like, you know, they were teetering at some point, and then ultimately the building crumbled, right? And that's essentially what's happened here. Tony Khan can continue to fund the company, and he can continue to put so much money into it, and he can do that, just as much as he wants to. But at the end of the day, if it's not a good show, it's not a good show. And as somebody who doesn't like their, number one, intelligence insulted, number two, doesn't like feeling bored at times, number three, is just a normal human being who is just watching TV, I don't want to see this. I don't like anything that is going on your TV show currently. And the only person who has the true strength to change that is Tony. Now, here's the thing: is like, people are probably wondering, oh, well, why do you just come on the internet and why do you just shit on AEW? Why do you just shit on AEW? You guys that's all you do. No, it's not. Matter of fact, the reason why we're doing this is because of wanting change, and being vocal about change is the only way that you receive it. So hopefully Tony can hear somebody on the internet, not even just us, just somebody, and say, okay, well, there's a lot of people, saying these things about my company. Maybe I do need to change something. But the problem right now is, at least from what dirt sheets say, and what, because it hasn't left Tony's mouth, except for the fact that a media scrum where he said that he listens to fan outrage, regardless of the fact, that's not true. And all he's shown me is that that's the furthest thing that he does. And all he does is view himself as like this greatest booker, because he's going online and he's talking about max numbers. He's talking about all of these things. And it's like, dude, your company's in a shithole. And it's so much in a shithole that somebody like Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, has no real story, that has no interest, when that guy was the most interesting thing on your TV show.
Yeah.
So make it make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's an identity crisis that has lost the plot and now is losing themselves. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They could say it up and down. They don't.
Yeah, I think a really good I think a really good point too is Brian McCaddy dropped a super chat for $5, and he says AEW is just fantasy booking, and wrestlers wanting their own dream matches that make sense to them does not make good TV or entertainment. And the thing is, like, that's fine if you want to do the matches that you want to make, go ahead and do them. Don't put storylines into it. Go back to the wins and losses mattering. Go back to the power rankings. Go back to the records. They couldn't even
control that, though. They couldn't even control that.
Correct. I know. But if that's what they want to do, I don't even give a shit. Just do that. Because you trying to do, like, this whole thing with, like, the Hurt Syndicate and MJF, honestly, I do enjoy. I actually like it. And but it's like, you could do better for both of these guys, for both. So it's like, why are we sitting here wasting our time with this when, like, MJF is a world champion kind of guy, Bobby Lashley's a world champion kind of guy? There's just so many things that they could do differently and so much better that they just haven't done. And the reality is, it makes it very difficult to really be behind it. Like, on a 2-hour show, if that's the one thing that I'm genuinely enjoying, like, that's a problem. because that means I like the guys that are involved and they're finding a way to make it at least work in my eyes, but everything else has fallen apart. So when Brian says AEW is just fantasy booking and wrestlers wanting their own dream matches, like that's cool. I have no problem with that. You want to be the alternative to WWE, go ahead and do that. I'm honestly okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is you're going to give us this Death Rider storyline, the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega's promo was so strange. I don't know if he wrote that or what happened, but that was like the worst thing.
Dookie, poop, the whole nine. Like, bro, what are you talking about?
The guys that I actually enjoy watching are the guys that I'm not enjoying watching right now because of the shit that they're handed to on TV right now. So I think for AEW, it's like this Death Rider storyline, more specifically, just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And I hate it. I do. Black Wolf Inc. dropped a super chat for $5, and he says, it's sad that Moxley has been champion for almost a year, yet Roman and Seth still feel way more important after losing their titles over a year ago. And that's a very big concern. That's one of the things that I often point out is there's certain guys in wrestling who are bigger than the title. And for AEW, they don't have a lot of people in that situation. So it's just, I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's bad, bro. It's bad. And it's not enjoyable to watch. It's honestly gotten to the point where I am not enjoying that. And it sucks. Like I'm such a big Jon Moxley fan. I love the Blackpool Combat Club. So what the fuck are we doing to this point where you're honestly doing a storyline that's making me not enjoy watching the guys that I enjoy watching?
And you ready for the crazy part? The Blackpool Combat Club is the same people that are in the Death Riders. It's about how you book it.
Yeah. Crazy. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. for the super chat. Thank you, Brian McHattie, for the super chat. I did miss a super chat from Tolino Channel. My apologies. He dropped 100 rupees. He says NXT Undisputed Kingdom was like, we have the top tag, we have the top mid card, we have the top of the division. In AEW, it's just a faction. Yeah, there is no importance with these guys. I can't speak for Adam Cole, but all I know is if I was Adam Cole and I was in his shoes, I would literally just, as soon as my contract gets up, I would call Triple H and say, can we repair the Undisputed Era? Can we repair it? And you know what's actually so crazy is so much time has passed by that I don't even know if I have faith in Triple H to repair that and to rehab that if that were to happen.
Why so?
Because it's all these years of Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom. There's like a stink associated with it. I don't know if I think he was presented so well in WWE NXT that once I saw what happened here, like, I don't know if I have the same feeling. It would be very difficult to rehab that because perception is reality. You know, like Jade had a nice hot start in WWE, but AEW presented her very well. They did. Like, I give them their props with Jade Cargill. And because they presented her so well, it's like, oh, well, of course WWE. If AEW could do it good, then WWE could do it better.
Right.
But if you're doing it bad with the Undisputed Era on AEW, and now they're the Paragon, but if you're already not doing a good job with that, fuck. You're asking Triple H to be a miracle worker at this point, and I don't think Triple H could be a miracle worker.
No, he can't be. It's not his job to be a miracle worker, but like you said, at some point you have to look at, how much time has passed. You have to look at all the in-depth details. And like you said, it's the stink around the Undisputed Era or the Undisputed Kingdom or whoever they are. Regardless of the fact, I think Triple H would do well with Adam Cole by himself and know what to do with him. So at the very least, if I'm Adam Cole, I'm just getting on a phone call with Triple H.
When that contract comes up, for sure.
Yeah. And I think he knows that, too.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't speak for the guy. He might be happy there.
Speak for him. Right, exactly.
I don't know. Shout out to Tolino Channel. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. Shout out to Brian McHattie for the super chat so far. Phil coming through with a $9.99 banger. He says, I knew whatever reason the Bucks gave wouldn't make sense. You didn't want Swerve as champ? Fine. But 6 months ago, you ran from the Death Riders. Now you're their side after a failed takeover? Sure. Yeah, there's just too much. There's just too much confusion here. And I think Phil kind of hit it on the head with this super chat, like 6 months ago, and it's so funny because the fans want to keep bringing up the, they love bringing up this whole notion of like, well, the Young Bucks were burning documents, right? That's the last we saw of them.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't capitalize on it.
No,
So you made us wait all this time for something you didn't capitalize on it.
it didn't make sense.
You know how WWE operates. Randy Orton, when Cody won the belt, Randy Orton was eyeing Cody's belt on SmackDown, right?
Yes.
He eyed it. They planted the seed. And then a little bit of time goes by. They keep planting seeds over and over again, but both guys are on television telling their stories. If the Young Bucks burning the documents was planting a seed, and then they just went away for a while, what the fuck is that?
Doesn't make sense.
It's just dumb decision making, bro. Dumb decision making. Very, very dumb. And it's so stupid. It is so ridiculous. The Young Bucks reason makes no sense. And then Hangman saying that he wasn't saving Swerve. That was confusing.
Yeah. Considering he looked like he was trying to save Swerve.
Like, okay, I don't know. Kind of hard to get me excited or bought into the storyline long term when that's what you're coming up with, but
for sure. Right. Whatever you say, I guess.
Yeah, shout out to Phil for the super chat. Thank you, bro. Daniel Len dropping a super chat for $5. He says, the only match I enjoyed on Sunday was the Omega. 80% of the matches sucked. Ospreay phoned it in. No, I thought Ospreay and Kevin Knight was nice.
They killed it.
The triple threat was a very, very, very good one.
Yeah, it really was.
But Kenny Omega, he should be the final boss of AEW. What is this? What are we doing, bro? What are we doing?
Apparently not giving a hell. Genuinely just not caring.
I just can't imagine it being a situation of not caring. I just think it's a matter of maybe too many people are in his ear. Maybe Tony Khan doesn't really understand what he's doing. I don't know.
I just genuinely think he doesn't understand what he's doing. You have to remember, the only teaching that he had was from Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and, and Kenny. And after that, they just were like, oh, yeah, we got it. And then he started running it. And just because it makes sense to one person doesn't necessarily mean that it makes sense to the next. So we talk about like dream matches and stuff like that. And I think he allows a lot of people to have control of their storylines. So you have to take that into account. So he's just kind of going out and being like, well, hell, do what you need to. And that to me is funky.
So strange. Shout out to Daniel Lund for the super chat. DJ dropping $4.99. He says, I would love to see Blackpool Combat Club versus the Hurt Syndicate now with MJF in the picture. Well, that's the thing, right? Hey, put a thumbs up or whatever if you want MJF in the group. And MVP was the only one to do it. And Bobby and Shelton obviously are against it. So that ain't happening.
Right.
But really, I mean, when you look at the grand scope of things, is there a reason why these guys are all interacting with each other? Like we couldn't find anything better for MJF, and we couldn't find anything better for.
What happened to the Jeff Jarrett thing?
He lost. Jeff Jarrett lost.
Did they have a match?
I feel like they did. I feel like they fought on Dynamite.
I don't think they did.
I feel like they did. That's fucking sad. That's fucking sad that you can't remember shit that happened like within a few months ago, because I can remember shit that happened a few months ago with TNA and WWE and every other company.
Yeah, no,
I remember. All I remember was Jeff Jarrett was laid the fuck out.
They never had a match. No, they just dropped it.
So strange, bro. What a strange ass company.
Dude, insane. And yeah, I seen Phil. He said something along the lines. I had my friend on stream yesterday, and I started him off. He had never watched pro wrestling up until yesterday.
Oh God!
He watched AEW Dynamite.
What was his reaction to Kenny Omega?
He liked Kenny for what Kenny is. He just kept saying, he was like, I don't understand what's going on. And I'm trying to explain it to him. And for somebody who's not a wrestling fan, he's like, brother, you're explaining a lot. and he's trying to watch it. And another big takeaway that he was like, the matches aren't telling me anything. I don't feel like the matches themselves, like they're doing a lot of moves and flips. He goes, but they're not telling me anything. And I thought that was pretty relevant to what we talk about with AEW anyways.
Yeah.
But overall, he was like, the show sucked. He gave it a 3 out of 10.
A what out of 10?
A 3 out of 10.
Bro, they have arguably one of the best rosters ever assembled. Mm-hmm. By the way, I look at Kenny, when I say final boss, I'm looking at him as the top guy for AEW. He is not presented as such. And that promo was weak. I don't understand how.
He's coming out there talking about Dookie. What are you talking about?
It's like suffering second succotash bullshit.
Roman Reigns. And it was to get to the point of like the Young Bucks are lost without him. And it's like, why are you showing any sympathy for them? Why aren't you just trying to beat them up? I don't know. That's just my thought.
Shout out to DJ for the super chat. I want to throw up a comment that Black Wolf put up. Just because I thought it was very well said. The best roster money could buy, but no quality in the presentation. And I think that sums it up. And it really, for those who don't like the argument that Tony Khan's a rich billionaire playing with daddy's money, those who are very, very, very opposed to that, those who are really against that, my argument to you is that this right here. Billy, we can still see you, buddy. You don't have to hide it.
Oh, cool. Don't care. I tried moving out of the way.
Yeah. That's some food for thought. Brian McCaddy coming through with another $5 super chat, and he says, why is AEW grown talent being shit on? I believe all major titles in AEW held by ex-WWE talent, MJF, Wardlow, Perry, Statlander, etc., just all shit on. Really quick, are you in the same belief as me that Jack Perry's probably going to be the wild card in the Owen?
I mean, I see that being like an option, just considering everything that's happened. Yeah, I could see that being the case. I mean, but at this point, I don't know. It could be fucking Dodo the Clown, So, yeah, I'm so disappointed with AEW. It's actually sickening.
And it's crazy because last week you had a different tune, and I think that's
Because do you remember when I started my AEW journey?
Yeah.
I told them, I said I'd give them another shot. I would. And I'd do it happily. And just I was really behind what they were doing. I really thought they had a really good plan going into Dynasty. Even going into Revolution, I was like, let's just get the belt off of them.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel like slapped in the face. So we could sit up and we could say oh yeah, it'll be Jack Perry because that makes sense. But at this point, it feels like Tony Khan can really give a hell about sense, and it could be anybody. So I don't know. Maybe he wants to do one of his surprise debuts where the lights go out or something.
It makes me so sad because I know Josh Alexander is bound for AEW.
Yeah,
but all of my favorites that were in TNA that went to AEW have been 100% absolutely shit on. And I think deep down inside, I can't get excited about it anymore.
Yeah, and I don't mean to come on and just ramble at AEW because I get it. Some people like Pete Rocks in the chat, for instance, is a very big enjoyer of AEW, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. My thing about it is I just think we have to understand, hey, it's okay to criticize people and be coachable, right? Be teachable. And just because, AEW has done something that you liked before doesn't mean that you have to defend everything that they do now. You can be open to that criticism, and be willing to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean you always have to take it, but at the end of the day, when there are thousands of people coming out and being like, no, man, like this is not good, I feel like I would listen to it. And I might get some heat for this one,
Yeah.
maybe, regardless of the fact a lot of the people that are not criticizing AEW, right, hide behind an avatar on X. Just saying. So be open to criticism. It's okay. It is okay.
No, you can't. You can't criticize AEW. That's
I beg to differ. I'm doing it now.
yeah, but you can't. You're just not allowed to. That's the
Yeah, I
problem.
know. I know.
You're just not allowed to because everything's perfect. But it's
Yeah.
weird because I am allowed to criticize WWE. I never get flack for criticizing WWE. I never, you know,
No, can't say I have either.
I never get criticized for. I never get yelled at from the IWC when I criticize WWE. It's just only AEW. But the thing is, like, if all you're gonna do is just defend mediocrity, all you're going to get is mediocrity. And
Exactly.
I think for me that's my issue. Like I'm watching the show and I just see where it's like, okay. So I've asked people, can you make some sense for me with this Death Rider thing? I'm trying to connect the dots. It shouldn't be a puzzle for me to figure out why things aren't connecting to each other. And I think that's the problem, is that's really what it is I have to play a guessing game as to the story you're trying to tell me. Like, no, fuck that.
And it's one thing to do like the whole long-term storytelling thing, kind of like Triple H does, where he's like, hey, like wait it out. And normally, not saying every time, but oftentimes, we're happy with the ending, right? I think we can all agree on that. But it's another thing to just try to make me put like you said, puzzle pieces in places that they don't fit. And that's what I feel like I have to do with AEW.
So it's funny because Pete Rock said in the chat, he's like, well, it will be when it's all said and done. But the thing is, I might not get to that point.
No, you've already lost me.
That's the problem. That's the issue, is at the end, you might have the greatest reveal. You might have the best storyline. I understand. Like, that's a possibility. It's as I said on the Dynamite show, right? Like Dynamite Dynasty.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Young Bucks being involved. Just make it make sense to me.
That's it.
Make it make sense. Swerve, Hangman helping Swerve. I have no problem with it. Make it make sense. And it's really what I said last time. I like, they just have to follow up and make it make sense. But they actually left me more confused. And so, so the thing is, you have to treat your audience like they're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
We're all smart. We're all very smart. People watching the show are smart. Me and Billy are smart. We're all very good individuals when it comes to being smart and understanding pro wrestling. But you got to treat us like we're dumb. And I remember this was a criticism a long time ago, and it's a criticism that still exists. But like, I used to get flack for it. Oh, where's the vignettes? Where's the vignettes? How am I supposed to know who they are? Brother, that's video packages, interviews, commentary. Like, there's a million ways to teach people what is going on. And so WWE treats their audience like fucking idiots. Michael Cole's constantly explaining stuff. There's video packages constantly explaining stuff. With AEW, there's no explanation for anything. So that's why people are confused. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Rabbit dropped a $10 super chat. He says, I'm a huge MJF fan and I'm disappointed that AEW is not booking him like that ace of the company that he is. So right now I'm waiting for that first teaser of his debut in WWE. Well, MJF is probably not going to WWE.
No. I think he'll be one of those people that stick it out there.
Like I said, we are watching MJF's downfall in AEW. I mean, really, that's what it is. Like, I know people don't want to hear this, but MJF and the Hurt Syndicate both could be booked so much better. At a time where the main storyline in this company is happening and everybody's pretty much against it and everybody's confused with the direction, everybody's tired, everybody's annoyed, everybody is so frustrated with the main storylines. And then you have guys like Kenny and Okada, like Kenny and MJF and all these people that are top elite talent that have been presented as such historically in the company are now treated bottom of the barrel, not as important, not as entertaining. And you know, the thing about MJF that really breaks my heart is that I actually have zero problem with him and the Hurt Syndicate mixing it up, like, at all. But now that the Death Rider storyline stinks, I'm sitting here thinking, why isn't Kenny Omega, MJF, Hangman Page, why aren't these guys in the world title picture right now as it stands?
You'd question it. You'd wonder. And they're not at all. They're not even near the world title. And the reason why is bad storytelling. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. I'm honestly, man, dude, call me crazy, but there was a time, and I know we've said it on this channel before, and I'll just say it again, just to iterate.
Oh,
I was a huge AEW supporter. Huge. Ango himself was a very huge AEW supporter. You covered it when they came out. With those two things being said, I expect better. Every time I expect better. And you're not giving me better. So therefore, I am going to come on here. I'm going to talk. And I am going to criticize you in the places that I feel that you deserve to be criticized.
yeah.
And like you said, when you have guys like Okada, MJF, Kenny Omega, whoever, Ricochet even, you can even say Ricochet, Swerve, numerous names. And your world title picture looks the way that it does. I'm just going to be 1000% transparent here. I'm laughing at you. And I'm laughing loudly because I find it comical that this is the decision that you're choosing to make, and this is the route that you're taking. I know that I've sang a praise so loud for AEW. I know. You don't have to make me aware.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that I am a human being and I am allowed to change my opinion. Can you guys believe that? And now, with my opinion changing, even with all that said, I could still sit here and say, I want AEW to succeed. Can you believe that? I can criticize and want something for these people at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I find it funny. And you know, to Rabbit Super Chat, when it comes about, you know, talking about MJF going to WWE, I don't see a world where he does. I genuinely think that he is a AEW lifer for the time being, right? That could always change. Wrestling's funny. But at the end of the day, I don't care where he's at. I know he's in AEW right now. Just use him properly. That's it. And we're not doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's rather difficult to watch, and I think, to kind of add to what you've said, my criticisms to AEW will not go away till I see change, and and the reality is they probably won't change. I don't. If I'm completely honest with you guys, my viewers, if you want to know truly how I feel about the AEW product, and keep this in the back of your mind as I continue to cover AEW. I have zero confidence long term in this company. Zero confidence long term. I'm not talking about success. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about TV deals. I'm not talking about attendance numbers, ratings, this and that. I'm not talking about any of that bullshit. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about I have zero confidence in them to create a compelling product that will keep me intrigued. We saw the effects. We saw the effects of my praise for AEW going down. I mean, there was always praise, there was always criticisms, but you can tell that AEW really lost me after 2021. And then there would be good moments, but they really struggle to keep me there. Shout out to Rabbit for the super chat. I want to follow up with this because Jay Swiss said, after AEW criticisms and rants, let's also get on WWE for Triple H's poor booking, pricing, and lackluster build-up for this WrestleMania season, which I'll be happy to address this because people often think that their views of WWE are true and then mine aren't. So I would like to actually address this. So what is considered poor booking? To me, poor booking means you are making decisions that don't make sense. Now
Easy.
there is zero matches that are announced for WrestleMania that don't have some sort of logical build. I see some people complaining about Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. This is not a good feud. The storyline is there. That's good booking.
It makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So maybe it's not the wrestlers you like. Maybe you want to say the WrestleMania buildup is poor for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at booking decisions, every single thing that is being built up for WrestleMania is literally logical. There's been some sort of build. Now, let's address WWE ticket pricing.
Okay.
That's another one. WWE ticket prices are expensive. AEWs are cheap. I don't give a flying fuck about either one. I'm going to explain why. WWE is a company trying to make money. They're very hot right now. People are buying tickets. They're buying the tickets. They're spending their they're spending their money on shitty ass seats and spending a lot of money on it. Why? Because they want to be there. I don't give a fuck. It's not concerning me. I'm not buying the tickets. Also, AEW is selling their tickets for very cheap. People are like, that's a bad thing. No, good. $25 a ticket? Go. That's awesome. Why are we fucking complaining about tickets being cheap? I don't understand it.
It's weird.
I'm not going to complain either way about ticket prices. I think it's greedy. Sure. I think it's stupid. Sure. But they're a business. They're going to make their money. They're selling tickets. You might as well strike when the iron is hot.
Very true.
By the way, AEW used to have very expensive tickets. Do you think they could still charge that much for tickets these days? No. Not when you're selling 1,000, 2,000 tickets to a show. So the thing is, if people want to talk about my criticisms toward AEW and say they're not fair, it's not a parallel apples to apples comparison to WWE. There's not one storyline in WWE that doesn't make sense, and there's not one storyline in WWE that doesn't have some sort of build. Everything is logical. Now, if you don't like the storyline, that's cool. Some people like pizza, some people like hamburgers, some people like Pepsi, some people like Coke. But to sit there and say it's poor booking, in my eyes, poor booking would mean that you're just doing things for the sake of doing it and not making any sense of it all. And so the reality is, this is the part, Billy, that's actually the most important aspect of this conversation, is a lot of people tend to get very argumentative about, oh, well, you're criticizing AEW and that's not fair because you like WWE more. Mm-hmm. Well, I can assure you, if WWE and AEW were doing the same exact thing, they're both getting fucked.
I would be criticizing both.
So that's how I look at it. And the reality is, I actually enjoy this part of the conversation so much more. And I just want to preface everything I'm saying, because what you get from me is 100% real and transparent. Let's just be incredibly clear about this. I have no problem admitting that WWE is a way better product than AEW. And guess what? I have no problem saying it. You know why I don't have a problem saying it? Because I didn't have a problem saying it when I thought AEW was a way better product than WWE. And so realistically, what can AEW do? Because I would prefer, as a guy who gets to make money off of this industry, I would prefer that they're all great, right? I would prefer that every single company is great. It just turns out that a small wrestling company, some people might know who it is because it's publicly out there, but there was a small wrestling company who does TV. They have people signed to them. They reached out to me in the comment section of my video just saying, hey, thanks for the coverage. Now, Now, the thing is, the reason why I bring this up is because in that exact video, I wasn't too kind to that company.
Yeah.
But you know what it was about? I was very direct. There is too much wrestling to watch. I know they have some good wrestlers in their company, but it's just too much to pay attention to. It's too difficult to follow all of these companies. But I hope they make a big splash to the point where they can capture my attention. And maybe with the news that I was covering, that's a possibility. And they weren't a dick about it. They said, hey, just thanks for the coverage. So the way that I look at this is I want every company to be good because it's my job, it's my business, it's my industry. And the reality is people hate opinions, which is fine. But for as much shit as I see some of these people, what they say to people like us, content creators, who are so mad that we are praising Triple H because we like that show, and we're criticizing AEW, you would think that we have done something fucking terribly wrong in this world. But us, for some reason, when we say, I don't like this, it didn't really make sense to me, I'm not really enjoying it,
we get the flack for it.
We get the flack for it. So the reality is this. If you don't want me to talk poorly about AEW, that's completely fine. If you miss how much I talked positively about AEW, go back and watch my old videos so I can make some money off those old videos, because they probably ain't making me money right now. But if you want to hear me talk positively about AEW, it does exist. But
it's out there.
I can't sit here and lie and act like what AEW is feeding us is good. I can't. I'm not going to sit here and act like it, because my criteria for what I like personally in my life it's not supposed to be the same as yours, as the viewers. Everybody should have their own flavors and everything that they like. But me personally speaking, what I love about me doing my YouTube show every single day, what I love about doing videos every single day and making TikToks and everything, the reason why I love it is because I say what I feel. And it's the one thing where people get so offended that I'm not a fan of AEW, but I'm not going to be a fan of AEW. And I want you guys to know I will not be a fan of AEW until I see it changes. And the thing is, it sucks because the only reason why I do even watch is because some of my favorite wrestlers in this world exist in that company. And so it actually pains me more when I see them in that situation. I was there for Jon Moxley's AEW debut, fucking losing my voice. That's the Jon Moxley I want to see, not this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a difficult thing at all whatsoever. At all. And I just really want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Phil dropped a $9.99. He says, I don't want to keep investing in a product that insults my intelligence and lacks consistency. I go into every show with such low expectations, and these last two shows makes me want to take a break. Well, you know, one thing I'll say about this, Phil, and this is the thing where I really have to be clear. I really have to be clear. Tony Khan, when it comes to me, my viewing experience, Tony Khan ain't competing with WWE.
No.
He ain't competing with WWE in my life. He's competing with the Detroit Pistons. He's competing with family time. He's competing with time with friends, a day off. He's competing with everything.
Yeah. This man's fighting for my time.
That's what he's competing with. We're talking about a television show. We're talking about a television show. Billy, are you aware of the show called House?
Yeah.
It's a little bit older. I don't know if they make any new seasons. Me and my lady have been watching it. And we watch it on Hulu. And I enjoy watching the show. I don't know what it is about this show, but it's a very unique medical show. There's like a whole bunch of weird illnesses. They're trying to figure things out. But all of the characters are so interesting to watch. And it's so funny because that is what Tony Khan is fucking competing with.
House.
You're competing with a show that no longer airs new episodes. You're competing with that because my time to me is so valuable that I'm actually enjoying that show. So you know what? If I'm going to choose what to do with my time, I might watch House instead of AEW because now I don't really see the relevance of actually watching AEW live.
Yep.
Insult my intelligence all you want. Give me good storylines all you want. Give me bad storylines all you want. Be a billionaire all you want. Do whatever the fuck you want. But for my attention, it's not WWE versus AEW because they're not on the same night. On Wednesday nights, you have an opportunity to say, hey, what can I do to get you watching? Well, if the Pistons are playing, I'm choosing the Pistons. If the Red Wings are playing, I'm choosing the Red Wings. If I want to watch House, I want to watch House. If I want to go to a cigar bar with my friends, I'm going to choose that instead. And then people will say, oh, well, Ango, you cover this for a living. This is your job. Yeah, but I don't go live on Wednesday nights after the show. I can watch it whenever the fuck I want.
This is true.
So now you got to think.
And truth be told, social media exists. I don't even really got to watch it.
No, you don't.
Sorry.
Actually, that's even the sad part.
Yeah, I don't even got to watch it for it.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Happened. That's what I mean, Billy. They're not competing with WWE. You got to compete with everything else.
Right, exactly.
Maybe, because a lot of people don't know, I tend to wake up really early. Maybe at 9 o'clock I want to go to bed. Now you're competing with me. But you know what can make me stay up late?
Some good storytelling.
A really, really good fucking show.
Yeah, that'll keep me up at night.
You know, I have two monitors, right, on my desk, Billy. You know what's
Yeah.
so fascinating to me
Huh.
is I haven't played video games in about 7 months, 8 months.
Good for
Actually,
you. I
that's a
play
lot.
Pokemon every day.
That's a lie. 10 months. In the last month, I've picked up in the past few weeks I've played a little bit of WWE 2K25.
Okay.
My cousin calls me yesterday and goes, "Hey, do you want to play Call of Duty Warzone? Like the old days?"
What'd you tell him?
And I said yesterday, I don't have it downloaded, but I could download it. I kind of miss playing video games.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of free time, and it's not because Ango's like a super busy, popular dude. Ango's just busy with real life and also work and all these things. But it was so crazy because I got on Warzone with my cousin, and the game is ransacked by fucking hackers. Okay, but it was really crazy because I jump on with him. First game, completely lose. Second game, we win. Third game, we win. Fourth game, we win. We three-peated. And it was so funny, Billy, because it just so happened, it turned out, this was the craziest part. It just so happened that I was like, damn, I kind of miss playing Warzone. I can't believe it. I might be getting back hooked onto video games again.
Yeah, when I logged on to Discord, it told me you were playing Black Ops.
Yeah. So the thing is, this is what was crazy, right? And I play on my PC. I don't own consoles. I don't have any consoles except for a Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
And so for me on my PC, I was like, okay, let me think. Like, do I want to get back into video games? Well, based on how my schedule works, that's now another thing Tony Khan has to compete with.
Yep.
Because you can't just work all the time. You got to also have a work-life balance. And so for me, my work-life balance it's my biggest issue that I've ever had personally, because I'm so used to working those corporate hours of fucking 15 hours a day, 80 hours a week type bullshit. But now that I'm my own boss and I'm awarded this life where I can just work my own schedule, I still work a lot. A lot of people might not know I might just be making videos, but I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So the thing is, if I want to play Warzone instead of watching Dynamite, that might actually happen now. But there was a time where I didn't prioritize anything else at 8 p.m. because I enjoyed watching the show. And now it's like, I'll get to it later.
Right.
I'll get to it later. Yeah, not a big deal.
It'll come around. I'll come around to it.
Exactly.
Mm-mm-mm.
Crazy.
Tony's lost the plot. There you go.
Yeah. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. And Pete's throwing up the SmackDown numbers like I care about that. So
yeah, no, nobody give a shit. Sorry, brother.
If your argument, by the way, is numbers, if that's your argument for AEW or you constantly talk about WWE's numbers, I think you are really, I don't know. There's got to be more to your argument than, well, what is WWE doing?
Right. Right.
You know,
because I could talk about numbers all day. They don't fucking matter. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, because if we want to look at numbers, by the way, last night, me and Billy's TikTok got more viewers than an episode of AEW Dynamite.
Boom.
You guys want to know?
Let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about
it. There's so much context to numbers, by the way.
Yeah.
But if you just want to talk about numbers.
He said, you guys, I just want to preface this. You guys doubt the 500K on Max. I am proving a point. You're not proving anything, Pete.
No,
we just did a million. We just did a million.
So I did more viewers than Dynamite. But actually, I've never doubted the numbers on Max. I said, if it's true, that's awesome.
Yeah. We said it numerous times.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy.
If true, we literally go back a couple days ago. It wasn't that long ago. When the report came out, go look at it. Go look.
Yeah.
If it's true, if this is true, congrats to them. That's awesome.
Oh, I love this shit. I love this show so much, bro. And you know, the thing is, I just think it's so funny because if we want to talk numbers, because there's no context to any of them, but my numbers are public, so I mean, let's talk about numbers then. But see how silly that would sound? Because you know damn well Tony Khan's getting paid way more for his numbers. He got a fucking $185 million coming a year for a TV deal. I don't. But if you guys want to talk about numbers and viewership, and then SmackDown has this or WWE has this, I personally don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck
Never have, never
WWE's
will.
numbers. I don't give a fuck if Netflix numbers drop down to 1. If I'm the one person watching it, it's a good show, then good golly gosh, I'm a fucking happy man.
Right.
I swear to God, I really don't care. You know, the thing is, though, I will talk about numbers from time to time because they're an indication of something is good or bad. And until somebody shows me AEW's product numbers going extremely high while their product is extremely good, then I'll sit here and fucking commend it. And regarding the chat, somebody said you guys probably watch Cornette or you like Cornette. I don't watch Cornette. I don't watch, fun fact, I don't watch any other YouTuber other than myself because I like coming up with my own opinions. From time to time, you know, I have friends in the space and I talk to them. But for me personally, like, I might see some clips here and there, but I do not go out of my way to watch other YouTubers, and I do that on purpose because everything I say comes from me and my heart internally. And that's just kind of how it is. And deep down inside, man, it's just like, you know, there's a lot of content creators out there doing a great job. And I'm only at 80,000 subscribers, you know, but if we want to talk about numbers, like there's a lot of context behind my numbers. 80,000 people are subscribed, but there's about 400,000, 500,000 people who watch my channel individually who watch my channel. That means there's room for growth. So if AEW is getting 500K on max, that's awesome. But there's 150 million people subscribed to the app. There's room for growth.
Oh, Ango, if I told you, like, hey, I think you could do better, would you be mad at me if I said that?
No, because any person that does what we do should know that there's always room for improvement.
Right. You want to know why that is? That's called criticism, folks. Yes, Ango's doing really well. He could always do better. And same applies for me, right? It's real life. So there you go. Be open to criticism.
You know why I'm open to criticism? Because
why is that?
I don't know everything.
Exactly.
I've been doing YouTube for 13 years and have had hundreds of millions of views across multiple channels. But it's so crazy because the one channel that I truly dedicated myself to full time, yeah, like it's the thing that I love the most, and it's different from the other stuff I was successful with. So now it's like, of course, I want to learn and get better. I aspire to be the #1 content creator in the world, and so in order to get better, you should listen to criticism. Now, I've gotten criticism where they're like, hey, you're being a little too harsh to WWE or you're being too harsh to AEW. Well, that's not going to change. Because that's what makes me me. If you guys want me to, which by the way, I can guarantee if I completely changed my tone and just acted positive to AEW and WWE 100% of the time, I guarantee you I could be at 1 million subscribers, and I guarantee you I could probably be making at least $600,000 to $1 million a year.
No way, dude. But instead, you choose to stay true to yourself.
I choose to stay true to myself because that's what it's like. You know, you're gonna have a viral take. We have one going viral. Not everybody agreed with what I had to say, but that's good. I want to help drive the conversation.
Exactly, because that's what we do here. We drive the conversation.
It's just the way it is. Bonus baby in the chat says everything you say comes from your heart. I hear you say all the time. Fightful reports. This source reports. That source reports. Laughing emoji. Yeah, I mean that's so the way that it works is I cover a story because I'm not a news source. Which, by the way, if you guys want gems from me on wrestling news that I report, I can feed you guys very, very well. Because trust me when I say that wrestlers and people backstage within all of the companies pay attention to channels like this. They pay attention to channels like JD. They're very aware of Cultaholic. They're very aware of What Culture and Wrestle Talk. They're very aware. But yeah, I'm going to read reports and I'm going to give my reaction to the reports. That's what it is. So my opinions come from the heart. And if it bothers you, even better. Even better. Because we're not talking politics. We're not talking about major social issues. We're not talking about controversial topics at all. We talk about a fucking pro wrestling TV show. And if you're mad that Ango doesn't do that, then thank you for putting me on a fucking pedestal. Thank you for getting upset that Ango said this storyline sucked and this storyline was good. Thank you for validating me, because at the end of the day, I don't think I'm anybody. I just like making YouTube videos and live streaming and talking about wrestling. That's just how I work.
That's it. That's it.
But if it bothers you,
a lot of people come on here and validate what we're doing. Trust me.
I appreciate it, bro. Because to me, I'm a nobody. I've said this a million times. Anybody could do what I do if they want to. All you got to do is buy a microphone and a camera. In fact, I even warn people. I've had conversations with multiple people who aspire to be content creators, and I say, guys, don't make the mistake I did buying a $3,000 camera, $5,000 computer, $5,000 worth of audio gear. You don't need that. You can do it with the very bare minimum. Have fun, show your passion, and you'll do it.
Ango, I'm doing it with my phone right now.
Crazy, bro.
No microphone, nothing. Just my phone. You can do what we're doing. We just get up and do it. That's the difference.
Crazy. But yeah, you would think some of the hate that content creators get, like, bro, we're not talking about social issues. We're not talking politics. We're not talking about any of that stuff, because this should be an escape for all that. That's what I want. That's what I want my YouTube channel to be. Until it all ends, I want this to be the place where you get away from the harsh realities of the world. Because I understand social media incredibly well, and the algorithms are designed to trigger you. I understand when you click on a news story and you fall into the line of conspiracies and this and that and blah, blah. It takes a toll on you mentally. I want people to get away from that. You enjoy wrestling. We enjoy wrestling. Let's talk about wrestling.
Exactly. It's an escape.
Our good friend, our good buddy pal, Robin Plays Games, dropped a $10 super chat. He says, you're telling me I got TikTok famous friends? So happy for the both of you. I was watching the show too. If Billy wasn't doing a watch along yesterday, I'd probably not even watch the show.
We love Robin, man. Robin's great people.
I love Robin, yeah. Robin's awesome.
Robin's one of the best people to talk to. And yeah, he was hanging out in the watch along yesterday. And before I even just thank you for being there, Robin. I appreciate you always. But on top of that, very kind words of Robin.
100%. But that's the beauty. But that's the beauty, right? Like the TikTok thing. I want my clips everywhere. I want my opinions everywhere. I want Billy's opinions everywhere. I want our show to be everywhere. And a lot of these clips are now starting to take off on social media. And I love that. And the reason why I love that is because some people will agree, some people will disagree. I think the issue is the people who are rude. I don't know. It's like it's a weird thing seeing people be so disgruntled and so angry. But I wish they channeled that anger to like maybe speak up about WWE or AEW if you don't like it. Don't get mad at the content creators. We're just reacting to it. And I know it exists in other spaces. I'm starting to realize that. But man, like, what we're doing is fun. And I don't know. I appreciate the criticisms, as you mentioned. I don't mind being criticized. I know there's room for improvement. I've heard it. I've seen it. I take action when I think it makes sense.
Absolutely.
But also at the same time, too, man, all I really want is for wrestling to be good. And I thought AEW last night was poopy. I thought it was poopy, and fuck all the content creators talking shit about it. But good on AEW for keep giving us shit. Well, buddy, they're coming to Detroit. You know, it was funny, Billy. What I said to you was, what did I say to you? I was like, oh my god, they're coming to Masonic Temple. We should probably go. Tickets are cheap. Tickets are cheap. We should go. It would be fun. Yeah. And then I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, no, I don't really care that tickets are cheap, because now Tony Khan's got to have they gotta do a better job of making me want to go.
That's it, because right now I have no excitement. And I love the Masonic Temple, too, by the way. Great venue.
Yeah, you like the venue. I don't like the venue.
I think it's because I have a lot of origins to the venue, like family origins and stuff like that. I have a lot of ties to it. I spent time at the Masonic Temple when I was young. But regardless of that, it's just a pretty venue. And the fact that I don't want to go to it kind of upsets me, because not only is it a Dynamite, it's a Collision as well.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Ridiculous.
But I speak with my money, just like any other consumer. Like Apple, for example. I think Apple is not innovating their iPhones. So my 15 Pro Max, until I see them innovate, I'm not upgrading from this phone.
Very fair.
Xbox and PlayStation, I don't feel like they've innovated. So I'm not getting a new console. I don't know. It's so weird. You got to put your money where your mouth is. And then I think like, my favorite comparison thing or analogy that I've heard was like, if you've gone into a restaurant and they don't give you the food cooked well, you probably never go back. And so I think this was from Bar Rescue as well. You go to a restaurant and have a bad experience, you're more inclined to tell 10 people verbally about your bad experience. If you have a good experience, you're willing to really only tell one. Well, it's kind of like
Yeah.
watching a TV show. If you watch something good, you're going to try to convince your other friends to watch it. My friends all watched Peaky Blinders. I
Yeah.
remember not wanting to watch Peaky Blinders, but so many people told me to watch it. So what did I do? Fuck it. I'm going to watch it. Holy shit. I love this show. What did I do? Called my brother. Dude, I know you. You're going to love this show. It starts off kind of slow. It gets really, 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 really good. Trust me.
Mhm.
I know you very well. Watch it. And so that's kind of how it is. Like you kind of, everything is word association and talking to people and stuff. So if you go to a good restaurant, have a good experience, and you only tell one person, you're more inclined to tell people about the bad. But if you tell one person, that's great. Now, if AEW was giving us great episodes every single week, I would probably try and convince people to go watch it that don't watch wrestling. And it's really
Yeah.
weird that people that I know who don't watch wrestling, but now that they know me in real life, they know that I cover wrestling for a living, they're starting to turn it on because they want to
Yep.
understand me as a person. And they turn on
Yep.
WWE and they're like, oh, this is cool. Right?
Yeah.
Why is that not being applied to AEW? And you know what my response is? It used to be really good, but these days they've really fallen off.
Yep. Yep. And the cool thing about it is I told people I announced it yesterday. I'm starting a Patreon, and on this Patreon, I'm going to start reacting to some older stuff. And I'm bringing my friend along with me, and I actually thought it would be a pretty good idea if we did some reactions to some old school AEW to just kind of remember and go back to what AEW was.
Yeah.
Because he had the reaction of AEW yesterday, and I wonder how he would feel about it years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did want to talk about one thing that I absolutely loved about AEW last night. So let me read my notes because I put it in my notes, and then you could tell me what you think.
Okay.
So Chris Jericho loses his temper with the learning tree. And as you guys can imagine by watching this show, I absolutely needed the learning tree to go away. In fact, I was hoping it would go away at Dynasty. But basically, Chris Jericho storms out of AEW. He gets in his car and he drives the hell off. He caused a little bit of destruction backstage. He drives off. Chris Jericho is leaving the learning tree. And so I wonder if maybe Chris Jericho is in fact leaving AEW. We know his contract is set to expire this year. I feel like he's done everything he's needed to do in AEW. I'm pretty convinced at this point that Chris Jericho is done, and it's a good thing for them. Now, with that being said, I don't know if this means Chris Jericho goes right back to WWE. I don't know if he goes and gets a Hall of Fame induction. However, I am very ecstatic with the fact that Chris Jericho and the learning tree is done. So now that makes me wonder, what can you do with Big Bill and Brian Keith? Obviously, time will tell. Billy, what is your response to this? Because I did like it.
So I was actually a fan of it too. I hate the learning tree. Sorry, just gonna be honest. But I know obviously he's been pretty vocal. We've actually seen him on an interview or something along those lines really recently talk about like how he's open to go back to WWE. And I don't know, call me crazy, but I always feel like when wrestlers do that, you start to see them move in that direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They now that he said it, it's like, okay, now they're starting to do things that would make it look like that. So I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't know what Chris Jericho is going to do. I would like to see, him do something with WWE, obviously, like you said, whether it be a Hall of Fame induction. I don't know to what level or degree. I would like to see Jericho back in the WWE ring.
Yeah.
But obviously, if he went and did the Hall of Fame or something like that, obviously you look at that and you're like, okay, well, that is what it is. At the end of the day, really looking forward to actually what happens with Big Bill and Brian Keith, because as great as Jericho is, and as great as he was, he's not the person that I look forward to seeing. I've actually always wanted really good for Big Bill. I think he's a guy that deserves so much better than what he was actually given.
Yep.
So that's my thoughts and takes on it.
Another guy that came from TNA, by the way, he went through
Mm-hmm.
such a downfall in life and
Mm-hmm.
bounced back and went to TNA and fucking killed it. W. Morrissey fucking killed it. When he showed up in AEW, just by hearing about his struggles and all of his battles in life, I was so excited for him. I was like, man, he looks great. He
Mm-hmm.
really changed. He got better. Like, that's awesome. And I hope that AEW figures out a way to utilize him correctly. And any person that came from Impact, it just hasn't happened.
No, and sadly, again, the reputation that AEW has created tells me that they're not going to do right by him. And again, he was just a person that, like, his story I kind of connected with.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, man. You look at that and it sucks. But I think overall he'll be fine with whatever ends up happening to him. Because again, you hear a story like that and you're like, oh, that guy, he's a fighter. He'll figure it out. You know.
Yeah.
So just because it's bad doesn't mean it's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
Mm,
hey, man, if you're a small guy doing flips and stuff, you get pushed.
you
So
got it. You got it. You're good.
it is what it
You are
is.
good. Yeah.
I don't think I missed any super chats. Good job,
No.
Ango. I'm gonna pat myself on the back because the chat has been moving incredibly fast today, and I try not to skip any of them. So thankfully, I did
Good
not do
job.
that.
Good
With
job,
that
man.
being said, I know Billy didn't like my Tony's Toy Box comment the other day, but that's what we're watching every week, and maybe you'll eventually change your mind. But
Maybe.
I think that's the perfect place to leave us.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that officially concludes the Ango Show Live. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to Billy at BillyTKO. Also on TikTok and Instagram, BillyTKO. On Twitter at BillyDTKO. And
That's right.
follow me on YouTube at Ango. And then, of course, TikTok and Twitter at AngoPW. TikTok is blowing up. Everything on TikTok is going great. So shout out to
Yep.
everybody. And
Look at us.
yeah, great stuff, man. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.